Welcome, everyone. Today, we're taking a close look at something really interesting.
Mm.
It's how this idea of a slower, more intentional life, the kind of thing you might see discussed online.
Right, like in the our slow living community,
Yeah.
often linked to well-being.
Exactly that. How that whole vibe connects with the very hands-on world of craft and making things,
Yeah, it's fascinating, isn't it? That desire for a more deliberate pace.
like the Create Me Free article touches on.
Exactly. It seems to just naturally fit with crafting itself. The focus shifts,
From just speed and output.
to really valuing the process, the making.
Right. And if you're someone who makes things, maybe you're thinking, how can I make this more, well, sustainable?
Hmm.
We've been digging into the Micro Hub Handbook.
Yes, that's a great resource.
Really practical, designed specifically for rural artisans, helping them build solid business skills.
It gets right to the heart of it, doesn't it?
Mm.
You can be incredibly talented, creative.
But you need the business side too.
Yeah, understanding that is really key to, well, to thriving, not just surviving.
And the handbook, it lays it out quite clearly.
Very structured. It walks you through spotting opportunities,
Okay.
developing a business plan, the actual launch,
Not
finance,
the nuts and bolts,
yeah, networking, ethics, branding, and there's more too.
like the online course,
Yeah,
the MOOC.
exactly, for anyone wanting to go even deeper.
So our mission today for you listening is really to explore how these slow living ideas,
Mm.
how they can mesh with the practical realities of running a small craft business,
Taking insights from these different sources.
and hopefully giving you some concrete takeaways, whether you're already selling your work or maybe just curious.
Sounds good. Where should we start?
Okay, let's unpack this. Let's kick things off with that very first step, seeing where the opportunities might even lie.
Right. The MicroHub Handbook has a pretty straightforward definition for that, a business opportunity.
Yeah.
It's basically a chance to use current market conditions in a way that helps your business.
So seeing favorable wins and sailing with them, kind of.
Pretty much. Recognizing where things are aligned and using that to build something, it's often what separates successful ventures.
Makes sense. And why should you, if you're a crafter, really care about finding these opportunities? It's not just about, like, a quick buck, is it?
No, definitely not. It's really about the long-term health, the growth of what you're doing.
Keeping things fresh.
Yeah, it allows you to innovate, keep your work relevant, and, let's be honest, earn a living doing what you love.
Okay. So the handbook breaks down finding them into stages.
Three main ones. First, you identify a potential opportunity.
Caught it.
Then you evaluate, is actually a good fit for you?
Right.
And finally, you act on it, using your specific skills to create value.
Let's hone in on that identifying stage,
Mm.
that first bit.
Okay.
The handbook asks a really useful question, I thought. Does your product solve an existing problem?
Or fill a gap?
Yeah. Or maybe take something that's already out there and make it way better.
Right. They use that example of the Milena Cosmetic brand founder.
Oh, yeah, the cleaning product.
Couldn't find something effective and biodegradable, so they made it. It often starts right there.
With your own experience or noticing something missing around you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And opportunities can pop up in all sorts of areas.
Yeah.
Well, the handbook mentions completely new or unmet needs. That's the really original stuff.
Okay.
But also things like underutilized resources, maybe a local material nobody's really using creatively.
Or just a smarter way of doing things.
Yeah, efficiency. And technology, of course, opens up loads of possibilities.
Like combining traditional craft with something new. Pottery and 3D printing.
Could be unique molds, decorations. Endless potential there.
And you mentioned looking at the competition too.
Definitely. Don't overlook them. Sometimes the best ideas come from seeing what others are doing.
And thinking, I can do that better.
Exactly. Or differently. Maybe their service is poor or their style feels dated.
And partnerships. Collaborating.
Hugely valuable. Brings in new skills, different resources, maybe even access to a whole new audience.
Okay. The handbook also brought up this thing called design thinking. Sounds a bit, I don't know, corporate.
It can sound that way, but honestly, it's a really practical problem-solving approach, even for a tiny craft business.
Like Netflix uses it, Airbnb.
Yeah, big companies. But the core ideas scale down really well. Generally 5 stages.
Which are?
Empathize, define, ideate to prototype, and test.
Okay, let's translate that for, say, a crafter listening. Empathize. That's understanding your customer.
Totally. What do they need? What frustrates them when they're looking for something like what you make?
Then define is pinning down the specific problem you're solving for them.
Right. Let's use the handbook's example. Dog treats.
Okay.
Maybe you notice local pet owners are worried about nasty ingredients in commercial treats. They want healthier, natural stuff.
That's your defined problem. Clear need.
Exactly. Next, ideate. Brainstorming time.
Just get all the ideas out.
All of them.
Yeah.
Don't filter yet. How could you solve that dog treat problem? This is where your maker brain meets the business challenge.
Love that. Then prototype, making a basic version.
Yep. Low cost.
Yeah.
Maybe just bake a small batch of your organic treats at home. Something tangible
So you can then test it.
with the actual audience. The dogs, their owners, get feedback.
Did they like it? Ingredients okay.
Yeah.
Texture rate.
That back and forth is vital for refining the idea, making sure it actually hits the mark.
So design thinking isn't just for tech startups. It's applying creativity to the business foundation.
Precisely. Making sure you're building something people genuinely want right from the get-go.
Okay, so you've maybe spotted an opportunity, tested an idea. What's next? Strategic planning.
Exactly. You need a plan. And the MicroHub Handbook brings in SWOT analysis here.
SWOT, strengths, weaknesses.
Opportunities, threats. Yeah. It's a really useful framework for looking at your business's potential from all sides.
Internal and external factors.
Right. Strengths and weaknesses are internal things you control. Your skills, your resources, maybe your location.
And opportunities and threats are external.
Largely, yeah.
Yeah.
Market trends, economic shifts, new competitors, changes in regulations, things outside your direct control.
So how do you actually do a SWOT for your craft business? Just lists.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
4 lists. Be honest. What are you really good at? That's strengths.
And weaknesses. Where do you struggle? Limitations.
Then opportunities, those favorable external conditions we talked about. What's happening out there you could leverage.
And threats, the external factors that could cause problems.
And the handbook stresses,
Yeah.
based it on facts, realistic info, not just wishful thinking.
Keep it focused too, right?
Very-
Not a massive list.
Yeah, 3 to 5 key points per category is often plenty. Then the crucial bit, prioritize.
Okay.
Which strengths matter most? Which weaknesses need urgent attention? How do you grab those opportunities and shield yourself from threats?
It's about focusing your efforts.
Exactly. Now, beyond looking inward with SWOT, the handbook really pushes market analysis.
Understanding your market, which as a small maker might feel daunting, like, I don't have time for research.
I know, but the handbook argues it's absolutely vital, especially when you're small.
Why?
If you lose touch with your customers, with what's happening, it's tough to recover. Understanding the market helps you find specific customer groups.
Get ideas for new products.
Avoid making stuff nobody wants.
Yeah.
Basically save time and money by staying informed.
And there are tools that don't, break the bank.
Loads of them, actually. Think about social media.
Facebook, Instagram.
Yeah, Twitter, too. Join relevant groups. Don't just post, read the comments. See what people are talking about, complaining about, excited about.
Listen first.
Definitely. Then maybe start asking direct questions yourself.
What about platforms like Quora or Reddit?
Great resources. Quora for questions, Reddit for those super niche subreddits. You can really understand pain points there.
And surveys, asking customers directly.
Simple ones work wonders. After a purchase, maybe. What did you like? What could be better? Invaluable feedback.
Even search engines give clues.
Sure. Tools like BuzzSumo show you trending topics. And if you have a website, Google Analytics is gold.
Seeing what people click on, what's popular on your own site.
Exactly. It tells you what's resonating.
Okay. The handbook also touched on different kinds of innovation.
Right. It's not all about inventing the next big thing.
Like radical innovation, something totally new.
Yeah, that's one type. Then there's sustaining innovation.
Making existing things better.
Usually, yeah.
Oh.
Often aiming for better profit margins. Then disruptive innovation.
That's the one that changes the game. Using tech to make something more accessible.
Like streaming did for movies, exactly. And finally, incremental innovation.
Small, steady improvements.
Yeah, little tweaks to products or processes over time.
And connecting this back to slow living.
All these types can be approached mindfully. It doesn't have to be frantic, constant change.
It can be deliberate evolution.
Thoughtful choices about how and when to innovate. Fitting for a craft business, I think.
Okay, let's shift gears a bit. Building the brand itself.
Super important. The handbook really hammers home the need to tell your brand's story.
Why is that so crucial?
Because people connect with stories. They're not just buying, say, a mug. They're connecting with the maker, the values, the narrative behind it.
Especially in craft.
Absolutely. And social media is such a powerful tool for sharing that story today.
But you need to be strategic, right? Not just post everywhere.
Exactly. The handbook says, know where your ideal customers hang out online.
So if you're a photographer, maybe Instagram or Pinterest.
Makes sense, yeah. Very visual platforms. Building that online audience takes effort, though.
What are the key bits?
First, know your niche. Really understand who you serve. Second, provide value.
Not just selling all the time.
No. Offer content that's genuinely interesting, helpful, maybe inspiring. Third, create meaningful content.
The handbook mentions tools for that.
Yeah, like Google for research, Grammarly for polishing your writing, Canva or Visme for making nice visuals.
And then reaching people. How?
Giveaways can work. Engaging, actively liking, sharing, commenting. Using lead magnets.
Lead magnets, like offering a freebie for an email address.
Exactly. A mini workshop, a downloadable guide, something to build a deeper connection, and your email list.
Which brings us to the customer database. Is that essential?
Your handbook argues yes.
Yeah.
Doesn't need to be fancy. A spreadsheet, a template.
Just a way to track loyal customers.
And maybe create special offers just for them. Strengthens that relationship. Tools like Monday.com or Zapier templates can help.
And keeping skills fresh. Upskilling.
Crucial for adapting. Market demands change. The handbook stresses continuous learning.
And online learning makes that easier now.
Way more accessible post-COVID, definitely.
Okay, let's talk business plans. Feels like a big one.
It is, but vital. The handbook calls it a roadmap.
Even if things feel unpredictable.
Especially then. It helps solidify your ideas, guides decisions, and essential if you need collaborators or funding.
The handbook mentions the business planning canvas.
Yeah, really neat visual tool. Gets all the core bits on one page.
Like goals, offering, customers.
Key activities, resources, partners, costs, revenue, seeing how it all connects.
So when you're putting that plan together, what are the absolute must-haves to think about?
Okay, key areas. What specific benefits, what experience are you offering?
Not just the product itself.
Right. Who are your target customers? Really define them. The handbook even talks about enthusiasts, early adopters, the majority.
Different stages of adoption.
Analyzing your competition is vital too, direct and indirect.
Direct is obvious selling similar stuff. Indirect.
Alternative ways customers might meet their need. Instead of your handmade scarf, maybe they buy a different accessory.
Got it. And pestle analysis. That sounds technical.
It just prompts you to think broader. Political, economic, social, technological, environmental, legal factors. How might they affect you?
Thinking about the bigger picture.
Yeah. Then resources. What do you absolutely need? Workspace, tools, materials.
And how you get them. Own versus share or rent.
Good question to ask. Then value creation analysis.
Understanding costs and setting prices.
Exactly. Thinking about your market position premium. Budget. How aware are people? What are competitors charging? What's your unique edge?
Lots to consider for pricing.
Definitely. And finally, setting clear operational objectives, what you want to achieve by when.
And KPIs. Key performance indicators.
The metrics you'll use to track progress. Are you hitting those objectives?
The handbook also touches on feasibility. Can this actually work? And funding, obviously.
Right. And the classic 4 Ps of marketing. Product, place, price, promotion. All need careful thought, aligned with that mindful approach.
And remembering the plan isn't static, it needs updates.
Always. Business evolves, plans need to keep up.
Okay, so you've planned. Now, launching and managing day-to-day. Mindfully.
Right. First, the legal structure. Sole proprietorship is common for makers.
Simplest option, usually.
Or maybe a nonprofit structure fits your mission. Then, selling online. Etsy is huge for crafters.
The handbook walks through setting that up.
Step by step.
Yeah.
Creating the account, writing your bio, shop preferences, photos vital, listings, inventory, shipping.
The practical setup.
Yeah, getting the foundation right. Then, your social media strategy.
Not just random posts.
No. Analyze where you are now. Define your goals. Identify your audience and channels. Then create engaging content.
And an email list and website are still important.
Very. More control builds trust, direct connection.
What about negotiating? Deals with suppliers, maybe collaborators?
The handbook offers solid tips. Prepare well. Listen actively. Aim for win-win. Know how to handle objections.
And when to walk away.
Crucial. Build relationships. Get things in writing. Always.
Good advice. And getting feedback. Post-purchase surveys.
Simple email surveys work great. What did they think?
For staying organized, managing time.
Online tools help. Google Workspace, Zoom for communication, maybe project management tools if needed.
And protecting your work. Copyright.
Good point. Copyright is automatic when you create something original.
But you can register it for extra proof.
Exactly. Services like copyright.u offer that. Gives you stronger legal standing if needed.
Okay, let's dive into the money side. Finance, often the scary bit for creatives.
It can be, but the handbook breaks it down. Basic accounting terms are important.
Like accounts, assets, liabilities, equity.
Right. Assets are what you own. Liabilities are what you owe. Equity is your stake.
Revenue is money in, costs are money out.
Accounts payable money you owe suppliers. Accounts receivable money customers owe you.
And the balance sheet, that snapshot.
Shows your position at one point in time. Based on that core equation. Assets equal NORL, liabilities plus equity.
Got it. And cash versus credit.
Cash is king, obviously. Ready money. Credit in accounting has a specific double entry meaning, but basically track who owes what.
The most critical thing seems to be cash flow.
Absolutely fundamental. The actual movement of money in and out. Positive cash flow is essential for survival.
Paying bills, handling surprises.
Exactly. The handbook stresses creating a cash flow statement, what happened, and a projection, what you expect. Keep a close eye on it.
Payment terms matter for cash flow too.
Big time. Getting paid immediately is best, but offering credit might boost sales. It's a balance you need to manage carefully.
And those four main financial documents.
Balance sheet, profit and loss statement, P&L, cash flow statement, and your budget. Look at them regularly.
When budgeting for a new product, what costs?
Development, production itself, promotion, and always a contingency fund.
For the unexpected.
Always happens. And having a clear financial policy.
Like who does what, who approves payments.
Yeah, addition of duties, authorization procedures, how you handle receipts, protects against mistakes, or even fraud.
Good practice. Finally, funding sources, beyond your own savings.
Bank loans, crowdfunding like Kickstarter, business angels, maybe venture capital, though less common for small crafts initially.
Microfinance, European programs.
Yeah, things like Creative Europe, Erasmus for young entrepreneurs, worth exploring depending on your situation.
Okay, let's talk connections, networking, collaboration, especially digitally.
Digital skills are non-negotiable now, really, for communication, collaboration, staying connected.
What tools does the handbook highlight?
Well, email is still a workhorse. Gmail gives you Drive, Meet, etc.
Instant messaging for quick chats, WhatsApp, Signal.
Useful, yeah. Zoom for virtual meetings. Dropbox or WeTransfer for sharing big files.
And social internet tools? What are those?
Internal platforms, blogs, forums, wikis for communities or teams to collaborate.
Like the Etsy journal for makers.
That's a good example, yeah. A place to share, learn, connect within that community.
And different types of digital communication.
One-to-one, group chats, public posts on a forum, mass communication like ads. Use the right tool for the job.
And netiquette, basic online manners.
Still important. Be respectful, considerate. It reflects on your brand.
Building that online presence. Where do you start?
Your own website gives you control. Or use e-commerce platforms like Shopify, Wix.
Marketplaces too. Etsy, eBay, Amazon Handmade.
Different routes to customers. Social media is a key here too, obviously.
But not just for selling, right?
No, it's multifaceted. Building the shop, sharing your story, building an audience, networking with peers.
So the strategy questions are important.
Who's your audience? Where are they? What are your goals? How much time can you really commit?
And tracking results. Google Analytics again.
Vital for websites. Google alerts for mentions of your brand online.
Content needs to be engaging, visually appealing.
Your visual identity, storytelling, copywriting, web design, it all matters.
The handbook also mentioned a digital artistic bio or portfolio.
Yeah, a dedicated space to showcase your work. Platforms like Linkpop, Behance, ArtStation can host that.
Okay, shifting towards values, ethical and sustainable practices.
Increasingly important for consumers. The handbook emphasizes sourcing sustainable materials.
Thinking about environmental impact, fair pricing for producers.
Exactly. It might cost more upfront sometimes, but the long-term benefits for the planet and your brand are significant.
Mindful water usage too.
Big issue globally. Simple steps help. Fix leaks, don't leave taps running, choose less water-intensive processes if possible.
What are some examples of sustainable materials?
Sustainably harvested wood, bamboo, ceramics, recycled metals, certain textiles, natural dyes, upcycled materials.
Recycled steel, sustainable rubber, adhesives.
Yeah, lots of options emerging. Ask questions. Local or imported, what's the real impact?
And ethics goes beyond materials.
Oh yeah. responsible production, fair treatment of competitors, employees if you have them, design originality, truthful
Like
advertising,
creating with integrity.
basically,
Yeah.
and the circular economy idea.
Repurposing, reducing waste.
Exactly. Craft businesses are often naturally good at this, using recycled stuff, giving old things new life. Supports local economies too.
Great point. Okay, final big area, branding with authenticity.
Crucial for standing out.
Right.
Creating unique, engaging brand assets builds those customer relationships.
Starting with the name and logo.
Foundational. Tools exist online and offline to help design a logo.
Color palette matters too. Psychology of color.
It can have a big impact. Choose colors that reflect your brand's personality. Typography, the fonts you use, also key.
Photos, graphics, it all needs to fit together.
Consistency is vital. Your visual identity must align with your overall brand identity and story.
Defining that personality, the emotional connection.
What feeling do you want people to have? That needs to be clear and consistent everywhere.
Website, social media, packaging.
Everywhere, which leads to brand experience.
The overall feeling someone has before, during, after.
Exactly. A positive experience builds connection, inspires people, drives results. Consistency underpins it all.
And connecting through the senses, especially for craft.
Huge potential there. How does it feel? Smell, look. Weave that into the experience.
Through marketing activities.
Compelling product content, collaborations, maybe a physical presence at fairs.
Yeah.
Showing, not just telling.
What about jumping on trends? TikTok, Instagram.
Can work if done thoughtfully. Don't just chase trends blindly, but see if they align with your brand.
Pinterest gets highlighted for visual marketing.
Very effective. Set up a business account. Personalize your profile cover board, bio. Create great pins, product shots, blog graphics.
Join community boards. Use keywords.
Yes. Reach wider audiences. Help people find you via search. SEO.
YouTube for video.
Great for showcasing process. Create a brand channel. Optimize the look. Plan content. Decent equipment helps.
Optimize for search too. Keywords. Thumbnails.
Definitely. Channel trailer to introduce yourself. Engage with comments. Promote videos elsewhere.
TikTok for business. What's the angle there?
Active community. Often younger. Needs an always engaged feel. Organic content, maybe paid ads. Creator collaborations. Versatile platform.
And Instagram. Still a powerhouse.
For visual crafts, yes. Compelling bio, high-quality visuals, engaging captions, consistency, use stories, reels.
Analyze your analytics. Share user content.
Collaborate with influencers, maybe. Use hashtags, location tags. Promote your profile with QR codes. Cross-promote on Facebook.
Lots of tools there. You know, it's interesting how that science survey article...
About crochet and slow fashion.
Yeah, how it really ties all this together, this shift away from fast fashion.
Towards appreciating handcrafted items, mindful consumption.
And social media fuels the growth of these small craft businesses, right?
Absolutely. Provides visibility, direct connection with customers who value the skill, the style, the community, the environmental aspect.
Everything slow living embodies.
It's a stark contrast to the problems with fast fashion. It highlights the value in handcrafting.
So, wrapping this up, it feels really clear that slow living principles and running a successful craft business.
They're not separate things. They can really reinforce each other.
Bringing that thoughtful intention to every step, sourcing, making, selling.
It creates something more sustainable, but also more fulfilling for the maker, don't you think?
Absolutely. So we really hope for you listening that you'll think about how these ideas connect with your own craft, your interests.
Yeah, maybe reflect on your current ways of working. Could there be room for a more mindful approach somewhere?
And maybe a final thought to leave you with. In this world that seems obsessed with speed and mass production, how can the deliberate pace, the personal connection of craft, offer more than just beautiful objects?
Could it be a more meaningful way to do business? A more meaningful way to live?
Something to ponder. We definitely invite you to check out the resources we mentioned, like the MicroHub Handbook.
And all those online platforms. Keep exploring, keep learning, and feel free to continue the conversation online if you have more questions or your own insights to share.